So I've been speaking a lot lately on Instagram and also just in person with people that I've been meeting out and about my journey with alcohol. And it seems like a pretty hot topic. I think a lot of people these days have decided to part ways with alcohol, and it's definitely not got that same cool street cred status that it used to have. And I was somebody who used to drink so much. I used to work in restaurants and cocktail bars and pretty much grew up around alcohol. And so I very quickly attached a very unhealthy sort of relationship with alcohol. And as I grew older and life got more stressful and I felt more and more under equipped to deal with those situations and circumstances, I naturally just sort of latched onto alcohol and became a bit of a crackhead. Now I'm 3 years sober, and I get a lot of people asking me about that journey and about what's made it easier for me and any sort of tips and advice I have for them because they're thinking about doing something similar. And I thought, after sort of repeating myself again and again and again, I thought I'd make a video on it. And I thought I'd just dive a little bit deeper into what's helped me, what's unhelpful, and some sort of practical advice on how you can actually make that change. Because a lot of people go through that journey where they cut alcohol out and they don't talk about the how or the why or the what. They just talk about how great they are and how much their life has changed. And in my experience, life actually got a bit harder when I stopped drinking. I found it really tough. And there was a lot of unanswered questions. And all I saw online of people who had taken that path was them just saying, like, my sleep's so much better now and I work so much more and I'm so much more productive. And when you've just started with this journey of cutting out alcohol, that's just not fucking helpful. You actually want somebody to give you the tips and tools on how to navigate the difficult moments. And so that's why I decided to make a video today. So I want to go through a couple of points which have helped me, a bit of a framework, if you like, as to what has genuinely worked for me. This might not work for you, but hey, if you're watching this video, you're probably looking for some kind of help. So here's my 2 cents. The first piece of advice, I think you need to get crystal clear on why it is you're actually stopping or considering stopping. Because a lot of people, I think, go through this phase where they think it sounds cool to go sober for a bit, or they think it sounds virtuous to cut out alcohol. And that's really kind of their only motivation. And so when it gets hard, or when their mates call them for a night out, they've got no real strong source of motivation to say, actually, no thanks, I'm going to stay in, or I'm going to do something else, or I'll come, but I won't drink, right? Their motivation isn't actually that strong because they're not crystal clear on why exactly they're stopping. And I think once you get really clear on what your reason is for stopping, that gives you a lot more of a foundation when you inevitably have those harder moments, or you're challenged, or you're questioned, or somebody doubts whether you can kind of stick through with it or not. So for me, one of the reasons why I stopped, one of the reasons why I knew I should probably consider stopping, is because every time I drank, pretty much for, I want to say, like the last 9 to 12 months of me drinking, although it wasn't very regular at this point, it was every few weeks, months-ish. Every time I drank, even if it was just one drink, I would always, without fail, feel really anxious and just not quite myself, be it in the moment whilst I'm drinking, or it would be the following day, or sometimes days, plural. And quite frankly, one of the biggest motivations for me initially quitting drinking was just the avoidance, or the desire to avoid that anxiety. I was just fed up with it. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to stop drinking for a bit. Let's just see how this goes, because this just doesn't feel worth it anymore. That was genuinely how I started this off. I didn't put a time limit on it. I didn't say I'm going sober for good. I didn't say, that's it, I'm done after some really boozy night out. I was actually on a date with Becky and we was here in Dubai. This is before we moved here. And we was on a date in a Caribbean restaurant and I had one rum and coke. And anyone who knows me from my past knows I freaking love a rum and coke. I love a rum and coke. Tons of fresh lime, loads of ice, nice and cold. And fewer things taste better in this life, quite frankly. But I had a rum and coke with my dinner, and I had that familiar feeling of anxiety. I just didn't like it. I was like, I don't feel right. I don't feel good. I'm not drunk because I've had just one drink. And yet I feel anxious. Here I am feeling nervous for no real reason. And it wasn't a one off. This had been happening, like I said, for 9, going on 12 months. And so if you're thinking of quitting drinking, get crystal clear on what your reason for stopping is. For me, it was that. I was fed up with feeling anxious and I knew something had to change. Second piece of advice. I think this is probably more important. I want you to take a pen and paper or go for a walk and just think about it for an hour, maybe longer, and think about what your dream life looks like with no limits. If nothing was in the way, if nothing was stopping you, if you could have anything you wanted in this life, what does your dream life look like? And just reflect on that for like a good amount of time. Visualize it, feel it viscerally. Like, what does that feel like in your body? When you first wake up in the morning, you open the doors to whatever your dream house looks like. You go downstairs into whatever your dream living room looks like. You get into whatever dream car you have. You drive to whatever dream gym you train at, right? Think of it step by step. What does that feel like? I already know you've got a pretty crystal clear idea of what that feels like. Then I want you to realize that you can have that. There is nothing stopping you from making that a reality. There are only things that can slow you down from making it happen. You are, quite frankly, the only reason you won't make that happen. It's your choices, your behaviors, your actions that are going to determine whether that comes true or not, right? And once you get a really, really crystal clear picture on what it is you actually want, like not what other people want for you, not what your parents want for you, not what you think will make you sound so cool if you drop it in the group chat or pop it on Instagram, right? What do you actually want? When it comes to your deathbed moment, what are the regrets going to be? Like, I wish I just went and did that. I wish I had the balls to go and do that thing. I wish I quit that job earlier and I went and started my own thing. I wish I fill in the sentence, fill in the blank, right? You know what that looks like. And so my advice to you is to get really clear on what that is and think about it regularly. And then I need you to ask yourself, how much are my current alcohol patterns and behaviors slowing me down or even preventing me, blocking me from making that happen? So for me, one of the big things I want in this life is I want a family. And not just that, I want a really healthy family. I kind of want to be the tribe leader, role model, action man dad. I do. Like, that's just a desire of mine. I want to be in good shape. I want to be healthy. I want to be active. And one of the visions I have for my life, if everything works out, is I want to be really fit right up until my 80s, 90s. I don't want illness to kind of bring me down. Only old age, like that's it. And I want to kick that can down the road as long as possible. I want to be able to run marathons still when I'm 80 and run faster times than my grandchildren. Like, that is genuinely, like, the thought of that lights me up. Not because I'm super competitive, but because I know how much of an inspiration that will be for my grandkids and for their kids, right? I want to be spoken about with that kind of legacy for my grandkids, like, you know, great granddad Danny, like, he could run marathons in his 80s. Right? I want to be a testament to what's possible if you look after your health. And that comes from a childhood of growing up with parents who didn't have good health. And so that's a massive value of mine. But the fact remains, if I think about my alcohol relationship, and then I think about the goals I want to make happen, like my actual goals, I start to realize that I'm really just giving up what I truly want in this life for something that I sort of half-heartedly want in the moment. Like, my impulsive self wants to drink in the moment. But what I actually want for myself and my life and my legacy, alcohol is only going to slow that down. And the only reason I can think of that you would prioritize slowing yourself down is if you weren't really sure on where it is you was headed. Truthfully, if you was crystal clear on where it is you're trying to go, you wouldn't put something in the way on purpose to block that or slow that down. At least if that vision for yourself is really exciting. It genuinely lights you up and fires you up. Like, do you start to smile and giggle when you think about it? If you actually visualize it and tell somebody you care about this thing, about this dream, does it fire you up? If it does, then I think you're onto something. Hold on to it, protect it, because it's so important. And you will find yourself just looking at alcohol differently. At least, again, that's what's worked for me. And then the third thing, this is slightly more tactical, but this is something that I actually took on as a piece of advice from a friend. And since I tried this for myself, it has worked every single time. So when you're in situations or environments where alcohol is available, and you will still find yourself in these situations. In fact, I'd go so far as to say, if the only way you can not drink is to just never be around it ever again in your life, you probably haven't gotten to the root as to what caused you to drink in the first place. You've just sort of avoided the wound, right? So you want to still be able to be around it and actually just not want it. That's sort of the goal. At least, again, that's my goal, right? So when you're in these situations, when you're in these environments and you're being tested, right? Your friends are saying, oh, come on, like just lighten up, have one or two. You can still drive home. It's not that much. Like, it's just one glass. When did you change? Or you're boring now. Or when did you get so miserable and boring? Come on, right? You're receiving all that kind of banter from your friends. And one of the biggest pieces of advice I can give you, instead of defending yourself and saying, oh, but boys, come on, like, I'm trying to be healthier these days. And you know how much this means to me. I'm trying so hard and I want to break because da-da-da-da-da-da. And you're justifying and explaining and defending yourself. Quite honestly, they will continue to banter you because they don't believe that you have the conviction and they don't believe that you even believe what you're saying. Because all they've ever known of you is a different identity. All they've ever known of you is the person who did drink, whose leg they could just pull and you would fall, right? And so the only logical solution to this is to embody a new identity. Now, what does this look like? That looks like when somebody asks you, are you drinking? Instead of defending yourself or justifying why you're not drinking tonight, right? All you have to do is say, no, thank you. I don't drink. Present tense. I don't drink. I've done this so many times and it still surprises me how effective it is and how much respect you immediately get from the other person, no matter who the other person is. It works even better with strangers, by the way, because they assume that maybe it's for like religious reasons or some personal reasons that you don't drink. But even with people who know you personally, you have just embodied the identity of somebody who doesn't drink. And that is so much more powerful than the person who is clearly the same crackhead guy who is just trying to not drink at the minute, right? That is so much easier to pull the leg of that person down and say, one night won't hurt you, essentially. So if you can embody the identity of somebody who just doesn't drink, you will instantaneously become the person who has gotten over that issue. And look, you will find it so much easier. When you speak these words into existence, you're reprogramming and rewiring your mind, quite literally, into a new person. It won't feel comfortable at the start. Don't get me twisted. Don't get it confused. It will feel odd and you will feel like an imposter. There will be a window where there's a huge lag, a huge delay, where it doesn't quite feel right and you feel like you're conning yourself and by default conning other people. You just have to suck that up, right? That's the price you have to pay. If you want a new identity, there's a process where you're taking the current identity off and leaving it in the past whilst you put on the new one. That's normal. I'm here to tell you, friend to friend, that's coming your way. Just get used to it. It will pass. Okay? Now, as much as it won't be easy, the quicker you can embody this identity, the faster you will see the results. And again, you'll surprise yourself with how much other people will firstly respect it, And then by default, like downstream from that respect, they will reinforce the new identity because it's just positive reinforcement. This is how human beings work. If you positively reinforce somebody, they will what? Repeat the behavior. So if you say, oh, I don't drink, and then you get a positive reinforcement for that statement, you're so much more likely to repeat that statement moving forwards. And again, your words are power. The more you repeat that statement, the more you're reinstalling or like kind of updating your hardware and your software. You're rewiring your mind to be the person who just doesn't drink. And look, I think I could talk about this all day long, but those are the three sort of most tactical, I guess, powerful ways I've managed to go 3 years sober. And quite honestly, I don't miss alcohol one bit. I'm not sat here like trying to convince you to do something that I haven't gotten over myself. I, in some ways, wish I made the leap sooner. I can't tell you enough how critical it has been for my personal growth. Not because you immediately have better sleep or you immediately are so much clearer and think better and all that stuff. More from the aspect of once you stop drinking, you have so much more mental space to think about and process the real reasons why you started drinking in the first place. And really, that's the only way you grow. Anything other than that is just avoidance, honestly. And so once you create that space in your calendar, because you're not hungover anymore for a whole weekend, you don't lose your Friday nights or your Thursday nights or your skint Tuesdays or your Monday madness or whatever it is that you do. Those things aren't a priority anymore. And you will just have so much more time on your hands. And so you'll replace those things with better activities. You'll start going to the gym. You'll start walking more. You'll have more downtime. You might end up being bored. These are all really good things because they provide you with the necessary space for you to process what needs processing. And again, that's uncomfortable, scary. It won't feel nice, but the only way out is through. The only way out of this kind of headspace you're in right now is through it. And out of the other side of it is the outcome that you want, the reason why you're watching this video, the life where you don't think about drinking and it doesn't even cross your mind. And when it does cross your mind, you sort of laugh and think, God, as if I used to spend so much time, energy, and money on that thing when it so clearly doesn't relate to the goal I'm trying to achieve. That is the outcome that I want for you because I know it's the one that you want for yourself. Now, look, I won't dress this up. Rewiring your mind, it's not an easy process. Whether it's fitness, whether it's relationships, whether it's alcohol, whether it's external validation, a bunch of things that I've been through personally, it's not an easy process. And so what I tried to do is I tried to distill all of my tips and learnings that I've learned over the past 5 or 6, 7 years-ish, and I turned it into 30 days of my 30 most important, impactful lessons for transformation across the board. If you're ready to develop your personality, ready to step into that new chapter, ready to leave old identities in the past so that you can unlock your potential and get crystal clear on what the hell you're even here for, then I want you to hit the link in the description. I'm going to send you an email every single day for 30 days to help you install this stuff into your life. Because sitting and watching videos is one thing, going out into the real world and taking action is another. And I want to start helping you take action because I actually care about your results. I care that you actually take action on this. Because if you end up in the same situation I was in for far too long, I don't think you'll be happy. And I won't be happy for you. So check the link in the description. I'll send you the first email today. And I genuinely hope from the bottom of my heart that you find it useful. That is why I'm making this video today. And I hope you found this video useful too. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. And I'll see you in the next video.